just thinking of a joke.
Do you want to tell it to me?
You
Welcome back, Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. Joker Folie à Deux, a sequel to the 2019 film Joker, is currently in the works. Now, director Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix are both returning, and it seems like they might be joined by a new co-star.
You are the one that killed her.
More on that in a bit. The original Joker film is, without a doubt, one of the best DC movies ever made. Some may say it's right up there with The Dark Knight and The Batman. The film made over $1 billion at the box office and received 11 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. So the studio wanting a sequel isn't really a surprise.
Money, money, money.
But the fact that Phillips and Phoenix were also interested in doing a sequel tells me they must have something really special in mind. The first Joker was dark, brutal, and real. They took the most beloved comic book villain of all time and made a film that's a social commentary on the dangers of our society abandoning the mentally ill. But they simultaneously delivered a unique origin for the clown prince of crime. Or did they? Todd Phillips has said that Arthur Fleck, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, may not be the real Joker. It's been theorized that perhaps the movement that Arthur started inspired the individual who eventually became that iconic Batman villain. So keep in mind that we saw the classic alleyway murder of the Waynes during the Joker riot that Arthur inspired.
Hey, Wayne! You get what you f***ing deserve.
No, pal!
So, Arthur Fleck and his Joker movement were directly responsible for the death of Bruce Wayne's parents. Perhaps the man who pulled the trigger will go on to become the Joker who terrorizes Gotham City for decades.
Hey, bad brain. I mean, I was a kid when I killed your parents.
That brings us to the title of the sequel, Folie à Deux, which translates to Madness for Two. Now, like I said before, the first film was a social commentary on society, ignoring the reality of mental illness. The sequel's title implies that it will continue this commentary. Folie à Deux is a rare mental disorder, also known as a shared psychotic disorder, essentially meaning that the same or at least two very similar mental disorders could affect two individuals simultaneously and play off of one another. The individuals who become intertwined in this situation are typically close in proximity and usually family: mother-daughter, sister-brother, father-son.
Son, I'm here.
Willem DaFoe has been fan cast as the Joker for years. If you wanted to do the most comic-accurate Joker in a live-action setting, Willem DaFoe would be your guy.
People come up to me and say, you know what role you'd be perfect for? The Joker. Always nice to hear that you got the vibe of a sociopath.
On numerous occasions, DaFoe has spoken about the demands for him to play the Joker. In fact, one particular moment is sticking out in my mind after hearing the title Joker Folie à Deux. DaFoe said in an interview with GQ in January of 2022, quote, "There is something interesting about, like, if there was a Joker imposter. So it would be possible to have not dueling Jokers, but someone that claims to be the Joker that isn't the Joker. And that kind of opens up the possibility of an interesting story, particularly if you had Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and then you had someone who is either imitating or riffing off what he did." Fast forward 6 months, and this statement seems less like a fantasy and more like an idea that was pitched to him when he was offered the part in the movie. Now, I want to be very clear that this has not been in any way confirmed by the filmmakers. We are merely speculating that DaFoe is involved based on what we think is pretty compelling evidence.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There may have been many different iterations of the Joker throughout the years, and Joaquin Phoenix's Arthur Fleck is one of the most unique. He's not evil, he's not cruel, he doesn't want to watch the world burn.
You gotta do everything yourself.
He's just broken. He's a mentally ill individual who's been beaten down by a society that refuses to help people in his situation. He feels ignored and looked down upon because he is ignored and looked down upon. These facts don't excuse his murderous actions, but they do help you understand why and how he's become this monster. In 2020, there was a limited series called Batman: Three Jokers. It introduced the concept of 3 Joker categories: the criminal, the comedian, and the clown. We're not going to do a deep dive on that series here, but in short, the story reveals that there has always been 3 separate individuals working together and acting as this one Joker. And while similar enough to fool even the Batman, they still have their own unique styles. The criminal is the more serious and structured Joker. He rarely laughs. In fact, he claims that it hurts him to laugh. The comedian is chaotic and sadistic, arguably the cruelest and most psychotic of all the Jokers.
Personally, I'd say things are about as far away from fine as they could possibly be, Barbara Lee.
And then you have the clown, the campy, flamboyant showman. He loves the theatrical. His extravagant crime's primary purposes are to garner the attention that he so desperately desires. While Arthur has similarities to all of these Jokers, I'd say the clown is by far the closest fit. Which brings me to my next question: which Joker would Willem DaFoe be? He can no doubt pull off the maniacal and psychotic nature of the comedian, but I think his best fit would be the criminal, a seasoned and structured crime lord with a raspy voice and a rare but terrifying cackle. A Joker who could care less about the attention like the clown or fear like the comedian, but instead a desire for respect, almost like Gustavo Fring or Wilson Fisk.
You see, when I'm finally let out of this cage, it won't be to wage war, it will be to win one.
Not to mention, the criminal Joker looks just like Willem DaFoe. I could see DaFoe's Joker lecturing Arthur, mocking him, calling him undisciplined, throwing it in Arthur's face that he started this whole movement but he's too weak to lead it, overwhelming Arthur by asking him, "What's next? What's your goal? What does this chaos accomplish if you have no plan?" Arthur begins to cry. He begins to scream. He knows he's in way over his head, and it's at this moment that DaFoe says that he can help him. He can show him the way. He can show Arthur how to bend chaos to his will. And then he reveals to Arthur,
I am your father.
Okay, so maybe he doesn't reveal it to Arthur at that moment. Maybe Arthur winds up piecing it together on his own. But either way, it would be an awesome reveal. In the first Joker film, we see Arthur discover that he's adopted and doesn't know who his real mother or real father are.
You adopted him. We have all the paperwork right here.
That's not true. Thomas had that all made up.
His adopted mother suffers from mental illnesses of her own, and she raised Arthur in a very unhealthy environment where he was malnourished and abused. She convinces Arthur that his father is none other than Thomas Wayne, the father of Bruce Wayne.
I don't want anything from you. Maybe a little bit of warmth, maybe a hug, Dad.
It's then later implied that this wasn't true.
That's impossible, because you were adopted, and I never slept with your mother. What do you want from me, money?
Oh, I wasn't adopted.
Maybe the TV show that Arthur goes on in the sequel will be Maury instead of Murray.
You are not the father.
A father and son Joker duo would be fun to see. DaFoe's Joker mentoring his son and exposing him to a life of organized crime. Arthur sees more money than he's ever seen in his entire life, finally getting the attention from a father figure that he's always longed for. And then, come the third act, it all goes to hell. Arthur makes a mistake and embarrasses DaFoe. DaFoe abandons Arthur yet again. He looks down on him as a joke like everyone else does. This then leads to Arthur snapping and dismantling his father's criminal empire. And then we see Arthur transition from the clown-style Joker to the comedian. After all, that's what he always wanted.
My mother would say, "You should enjoy it. One day you'll have to work for a living."
No, I won't, Ma. I'm gonna be a comedian.
Now, I also need to mention the possibility of the other Joker being none other than Harley Quinn. It's reported that Lady Gaga is in talks to play Harley in this film and that it will be a musical.
What?
Now, I know that may sound a little strange at first, but let me play devil's advocate. Joker was a very strange film. A lot of what we saw in the film didn't even actually happen. A lot of it was all in Arthur's head. Todd Phillips himself said that Joker has a very unreliable narrator in Arthur Fleck. So I could see the musical portion of the sequel being all in Arthur's head. A Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd style musical with the Joker and Harley Quinn. This could be brilliant. And remember, these movies are supposed to be a little weird, a little quirky. They aren't your typical comic book films. There's also another possible meaning of the title that has nothing to do with Harley Quinn or Willem DaFoe. It could be referring to two brothers, Arthur and Bruce. The Batman did a fantastic job of drawing parallels between Bruce and the Riddler. Both are orphans en masse who are obsessed with justice and spy on people with their binoculars. But there are also many similarities to Batman and the Joker. Both brilliant tacticians, unstoppable forces who will never give up their separate crusades.
This is what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object.
People have been saying for decades that Batman and Joker are two sides of the same coin. So what if that's literally true? What if they are two brothers who are suffering from the same mental illness? Two brothers that will always be together, yet apart, like planes in the sky. I trust Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix to make yet another amazing film in this universe. Neither of them were contracted to return for a sequel, yet they both decided to anyway. And sequels aren't something Joaquin Phoenix does very often. I mean, remember, he turned down the role of Doctor Strange because he didn't want to commit to so many movies. Phoenix is very particular particular about what projects he takes on. So I know that the story for Joker, Folie, Deux must be pretty magnificent if it convinced Joaquin to return for a sequel. So what do you think about all this? Will DaFoe be something of a Joker himself? Do you think he slipped up 6 months ago and revealed his involvement in the Joker sequel? Do you hope to finally see him take a crack at the Clown Prince of Crime? And what do you think about the whole Lady Gaga Harley Quinn rumors? Is a Joker musical something you want to see? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.